All right. Well, welcome to another Dental Practice Success webinar series. Today's topic is optimizing Google business for more reviews. And we have a special guest with us, Carl Schwantes, whom you hear from shortly. My name is Alexi. I am the owner of Practice Results, and I also run a couple of other businesses as well. We are a Google Premier Partner. We do a lot of stuff with Google. We're across Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Melbourne, servicing most of Australia. I have customers all around Australia and actually a few overseas as well. Our point of difference is that we actually work with our contracts, and main thing is that we actually specialize in practice growth. I'm also an author and I run a podcast as well. Now, some of the clients that we work with, we sort of got quite a bit of quite a diverse portfolio. We've got quite a few dentists. We do work with quite a few physios and chiros, but overall we do look after practices, because overall practices have a bit of a pattern in terms of how they operate. And for us, the whole journey started with a company called 1300 Smiles, which some of you may know. We started working with them in 2016, and that really gave us quite a lot of insights to the dental industry. And as a result, we actually started to specialize in the dental marketing side of things, and that's how we grew our business. In terms of Practice Results, what we specialize in is mainly things like web development. We help businesses with email marketing and process automation. We do things like SEO, Google Ads, and overall, we help businesses grow through a better sales process and overall marketing strategies as well. Today's special guest is Carl Schwantes. Carl is a friend of mine, and he's also the managing director of Xenix Diamonds. For those of you who are in Brisbane, you actually may know this business, or if you Google up Diamond Rings Brisbane or Engagement Rings Brisbane, you'll find them #1 with most reviews than anyone else. There is a bit of a story as to how Carl started 5-star reviews, and I'll let him tell the story. He's also a former Army officer, an author, and entrepreneur. Welcome to our webinar, Carl.
Thanks, Alexi. Always lovely to be on here with you.
Yeah, mate, do you want to just tell us a bit of a story about the 5-star reviews? Because I always find that's always a good one for people to know.
Yeah, people sometimes ask me, how do you go from being the diamond guy in Brisbane to the 5-star Google guy? And well, it really happened when COVID hit. As I know, a lot of us were affected by COVID, but particularly the wedding industry, when the government came out and banned weddings, which isn't a great thing when you have a diamond shop. So I was starting to look at the numbers because I was looking for more clients, and I thought, well, how am I going to find new clients? Well, the easiest way is to find out where our current clients are coming from. And what I found out was that in the previous year, 173 sales had come through our Google reviews. But the best part was that we hadn't spent a single dollar on ads to generate that. And it really kind of opened this idea in my mind about the power of reputation marketing. The diamond business is a 47-year-old second-generation family business. And, you know, when you're in business for that long, you create that sort of a reputation around what it is that you do. And that increases word of mouth referrals. You get more team. And so this really started this process where I was talking to business owners, and they were sort of saying, well, how did you get the reviews? And so I started, I guess, unpacking how I got what I did, and then started branching out to a lot of different industries. And what I found was that it had nothing to do with the business industry or niche. I've got clients that are dentists. I've got clients that are doctors, surgeons, lawyers, accountants, from product-based businesses, B2B, B2C. It really doesn't matter. What it does matter is around the mindset of the business owner and somebody that wants to improve their online reputation. I mean, at the end of the day, we've all heard the saying, you are who Google says you are. And, who knows, that may change in the future, but for now it's pretty true. And so how you're showing up in Google is really important. And so many times I see, whether it's a beautiful business and they've got a great website, but their Google profile just doesn't match their professionalism, the service standards, the experience that they want their clients to experience when they come into Google. So that's where the 5-star reviews, I kind of called it that because it's kind of what it did on the tin. There may be a new name coming for that, but at the moment, that's where I'm at.
Awesome. And look, we'll hear from you about the whole process soon. But I guess what really caught my eye is that you understand the whole ARPA regulation, and you understand how to work with health-related businesses, because obviously there's quite a few restrictions around that. And I guess, you've really done quite well with one of our clients whom I referred to you, the podiatrist. And look, you could probably talk about that a little later, but overall, I've watched what you do, and I think it's magic, mate. And you can can definitely deliver the results. And hopefully our participants today will learn something from you.
Thanks, man.
All right, so today's agenda. I thought it'd be worth a while to combine Carl's presentation with a bit of website side of things, because, you know, Carl's focus on the reputation, the Google business and the online reputation really is about the SEO side of things and how your business comes up in Google, how people find you. So I thought covering website fundamentals, some of the conversion rate optimization, and then basically hearing from Kyle about optimizing Google business would really give us, you know, quite a good presentation and help you sort of, be guided in the right direction to get the best outcome. And in the end, I guess we'll do Q&A. But like I said, if there's anything burning, please use the chat option of Zoom to reach out and ask a question. All right, so let's get started. I guess, you know, when it comes to website fundamentals, I've been doing web development for over 16 years. I have a team of 11 guys who basically specialize in marketing and also building websites. And I think, you know, while a lot of things are fairly straightforward, a lot of the things are being missed. And I wanted to sort of summarize this and present to you, because I think you can really make minor improvements to your website, which will, you know, greatly increase the chance of conversion and overall get you more inquiries coming through. First of all, consistent brand. Now, you might hear about this a lot, but I've looked at some of the websites of participants, and, you know, you go to the website and then you click through to the online booking link, and the logos that actually appear on those instances are completely different. And sometimes you find that going to a Facebook page or a social media profile of some sort has a completely different brand with different color schemes and so on and so on. If you are trying to, you know, do something online, try to, you know, get that consistency through. Use the same logo, same color scheme, and please, you know, simplify that as a process. I find that, you know, the phone number is still the number one thing that people prefer to use when they call dentists. I mean, we've done a lot of testing across online bookings, across form submissions and phones. You know, we get over 70% of people calling, especially when it comes to those new patients. When it comes to repeat customers, the online booking works quite well, but overall, you have to make sure that the phone number really comes up quite nicely. And where I see that missing a lot is specifically on the mobile view of the website. You'll find that most of the desktop websites have got it, but on the mobile, which is where the whole push to call function works quite well, it's hidden most of the time. Address. Now, most of the time, people want to know where you are located. And, you know, without getting people to click through to your contact page or doing any further searching, I think it's worth a while increasing the visibility of your address through the top section of your website, which we call above the fold, and which we'll talk about shortly. Opening hours. That's something that really works, you know, quite well for the customers, because a lot of the time, this information is really key. They want to know if you're open at a particular time. And I've noticed some of the attendees to our webinar have, you know, very different open hours. Some people don't work Fridays, other people work by appointment, and so on and so on. I think it's very important to make this simple for the customer. Outline of the services. You look at a lot of general dentistry websites, and there's just a salad of everything. There is the, you know, the fillings, there is the checkup and clean, there is the whitening, there's everything. And I think, you know, while you may be doing everything, it's really about the 80-20 behind your business as to why people approach you in the first place and how they basically engage you. There's no issue having specific pages for specific services, but you do have to make it simple enough for people to be able to make the inquiry, as opposed to sort of give them War and Peace about what you do and how you do it. Online booking, like I said, online bookings works very well, especially for millennials as an audience, and specifically for the repeat customers. Once people know exactly who you are and how to work with you, booking online, you know, becomes simpler for them. And I guess, you know, simple and working navigation. That sounds really straightforward, but trust me, I come across a lot of websites, and sometimes they're just not intuitive enough in order for you to be able to go through them to find what you need. So let's have a look at some of the websites. I mean, I've had a few people register, and this is one of the attendees' websites. You know, it's a clean-looking website. However, for some reason, there are links to social media profiles up the top that don't really link to anything. And, you know, maybe this is a web designer issue or so, but overall, I think if these components were bringing in some value, you really want to make sure they're working. Otherwise, maybe tuck them away or remove them altogether. There's quite a bit of space there. I would personally put the actual address of the practice in there, just to make things a little bit easier. And overall, if you look further down the page where it says teeth whitening and so on, there are no links in any of these sections. So if someone wanted to click through to any of this section, it doesn't take them anywhere. So that's a bit of a navigational issue. Now, On the right-hand side, you see the mobile view of that same page. And as you can see, the phone number doesn't come up anywhere, so you can't easily push the call. And then the teeth whitening, checkup, and clean doesn't have any links either, so people can't take any action with that. So if the owner of this website is listening to this right now, I definitely recommend to take some notes and rectify this as soon as you can, because you are potentially missing out on some really simple things. And trust me, when people visiting websites these days, they are expecting simplicity, and they really want to be able to get somewhere. And if they are not able to get through, they'll often question the validity of your business altogether. Now, this is another one, Serenity Dental CQ. I believe it's a business from North Queensland. I think the website looks okay, but there is a huge video right below the actual navigation menu. And I think, unless you're thinking that people are going to be watching this video and this video will help them make a decision, I think it's okay to have it. But personally, I'd rather have something meaningful there with, a call to action that's going to take them to the next step. And overall, once again, having a address in here would really help. On the mobile view on the right-hand side, you can see what that looks like. Typically, the mobile view would cut out some of the components, but I feel that the phone number here would really make things a lot easier for a lot of people. Now, that's just some of the basic stuff that I'm talking about. And I guess if you look at some of these websites in a bit more detail, using what I've outlined before, you may be able to find some gaps that you can improve on very easily. Now, conversion rate optimization, let's talk about that. And look, this is a huge subject altogether, but I did want to sort of go over a couple of things that I think are key and fairly easy to sort of rectify. And the whole conversion rate optimization, or CRO, as some people call it, really divides into design, copy, and the delivery of the website. And overall, CRO is really the process of increasing the percentage of conversions on the website, whether it's to get phone calls, form submissions, online bookings, or whatever that is that your website is actually doing, the actual action. So let's talk about the design first. So with the design, the first thing you got to look for is really above the fold. Now, the above the fold section is really what people will see on a desktop without having to scroll. You really want to make sure that that section presents all the key information that we outlined before, and also is not too heavy, so it doesn't take forever to load. I think that, there's obviously quite a creative approach to the whole thing. Some people really make their website quite a masterpiece. Other people keep it quite simple. Overall, you just want to make sure that the content is there and it is presented in a useful way. The second thing to consider is the mobile view. And for some reason, majority of the websites, when it comes to dentists, they don't even look at it. But I guess the bad news is that majority of the traffic comes through the mobile these days. I'd say 70 to 80% easily would come through the mobile. The third thing is the color scheme. You really want to make sure that the color scheme of your website sort of matches your logo, but at the same time, the key call to actions are really set up to stand out, so people won't be confusing them with anything else. And overall, the call to action, like you saw in the example before, there were some pieces of information about checkup and clean or so, but there wasn't a call to action. I mean, what do you do with that information? Do you book an appointment? Do you inquire? How do you sort of proceed further? And there is a bit of subconscious to it as well. Like the whole psychological trigger of a call to action is whatever you're going to ask the person to do on a button, which it will be exactly what they will do. Now, unfortunately, by default, most of the buttons on the website say submit. Now, that often creates a little bit of a confusion because, if you are wanting a person to submit a form, that's fine. But what is it that you actually want that form to do? Do you want them to request an appointment, ask a question, inquire now? Like, I think if you change the submit to something a little bit more meaningful, you will get a higher conversion rate. And look, it's been proven over and over that, simple things like changing submit button to, let's say, add to cart or buy now, if you're running an online store, for example, will create a higher outcome, hence increasing the conversion rate optimization. Overall, the whole idea of the design is to minimize the number of clicks to an action. That's what you really want to do. And you want to make sure that the person is able to find exactly what they're looking for without having to click multiple times. Here's an example of one of our clients, a company called Crestmead Dental. Now, as you enter this website, you'll have a pop-up coming up, which actually grays out the rest of the website, hence sort of capturing the attention. And it talks about the checkup and clean special offer. Now, we found that having this opt-in really helps to build a database, because a lot of people are quite keen to take up the offer, but they're not ready to take it up right that moment. So the timing of the whole thing is a bit of an essence as well. But at the same time, if you're getting, let's say, 100 people visiting your website, typically your conversion rate would be, let's say, 5 to 7%. Now, an opt-in like that, a name and email capture, would typically capture about 20% of all the people, allowing you to market to these people in the future using email marketing. And then obviously, if you look at the website behind the scenes, there is the address, which we find one of the main things that people are looking for, open hours, and then also the phone number and the actual special offer. So if you click on that special offer, it'll bring up this pop-up anytime. And then on the slider, it basically talks about what the business does and a link to book an appointment, followed by insurance providers, which is another really big deciding point for a lot of individuals before they choose a dentist. If you look at the mobile, it's pretty much all that same information, but coming up in that sort of mobile view, presenting all the key components straight away, because we really want to make sure that people don't have to scroll for too long before taking the next step to book their appointment. Now, let's talk about the copy. Now, this is really more about educating through your website. And a lot of the time people, they either don't have enough content or they have too much content. Overall, I think it's just about having that engaging content. What is it specifically you can give to the customers in order to help them make a decision or educate them about a problem. And I find that a lot of the time people write in a very scientific way. There's not a lot of headlines. It's basically just text. So one of the biggest tips I can give you is make sure you add headlines and subheadlines. And this way you're able to sort of break up that chunk of text into something a little bit more readable. Make sure that you got useful content on your website, outline of the services, contact information, information about the dentist, because the main thing that people are really focusing on, they want to know who they're going to be dealing with. And if you're finding that information about you as the dentist isn't really to be found, a lot of people, will potentially think twice before engaging you. People are very curious about what's actually going to happen. And dentistry is considered one of those invasive services, which is where, people really need to trust you before that happens. I guess the key information like insurance info and payments should really be outlined as well, because if you work with any health funds and so, that information is quite important to the customer. And if you do payment plans, Zip, Hum, and all that sort of stuff, it's useful to have that info as well. Now, with call to actions, like I said before, it's all about having buttons with meaningful action. What is it that button's going to do? Everyone seems to get it with the whole book now. Or book an appointment, and without a given, that works very well. So why is it that the rest of your website says submit? I think you should really look into that. Things like videos and images, you really need to make sure you use them appropriately. Having a slider consisting of a video potentially is not the best thing you can do for a number of reasons. First of all, you really need to understand that it's got to be a generic piece of content that helps everyone make a decision. So for that reason, I would really much rather focus on the general theme of your website or the goal that you're really trying to achieve. And most of the time, the goal is to get new patients. So in my opinion, having a new patient offer or having some sort of a new patient, piece of information to help them be guided in the right direction would be a much better option. And yeah, most importantly, offers. A lot of people's website that I've visited don't have any offers at all. There's nothing to, specifically outline what the person's going to be getting if they are to engage you for, teeth whitening or going to come to sort of see you for the checkup and clean side of things as well. And look, I'll show you a couple examples in a minute, but overall, I think offers is really what helps people take that first step, because this is the one thing that really sets you apart from a lot of the competitors. Because, if you look at it simply, if everyone's presenting the same sort of stuff, having an offer really is a point of difference. So this is an example of one of the location pages from 1300 Smiles. We actually worked on the design of these pages, and since then they've actually redesigned a couple of times, but they still kept that same structure. Now, we found that, a lot of these pages in the past were not informative enough. And overall, we created each one of them as a landing page. We actually have got all the key contact information about the location and how to get there, open hours, the actual services. And if you keep scrolling down on this page, you'll find all the dentist information, health funds, and even offers like, pensioner discounts and whatnot. We found that's actually made a huge difference, and especially that a lot of the practices are spread around North Queensland and rural areas. We find that keeping that information simple really allows the tech-savvy and non-tech-savvy people really find exactly what they're looking for as well. And if you look at the mobile view of the same thing, it presents all the key information quite well as well. Working with 1300 Smiles really has given us quite a big insight on the whole dental side of things. And when you work with a practice that's got over 30 locations, you can see the patterns and the trends as to how consumers behave when it comes to choosing a dentist, working with a dentist, and overall browsing through the websites as well. Now, finally, the delivery of the website. I'd say, this is the one thing that's often overlooked. Besides the speed, there's obviously the structure of the website. And the structure of the website is probably more known to the developers, and to us, things may look very similar, but the way the website is actually being delivered heavily relies on the structure. And this is really how the code is written, what sort of plugins you're using, what sort of scripts you've got running behind the scenes. Now, you may think, I don't know anything about that. How do I improve that? Well, I'll share a slide with you shortly about a tool that can help you easily identify all these gaps and potentially present this to your web developers so they can make the improvements. Things like heavy objects. A lot of the time people have a video on the website that takes forever to load. You could use external services like YouTube, for example, to serve the video, because they servers are specifically designed for high bandwidth and fast streaming of those heavy videos. And I think overall, if you're looking for something simple like a quick win, have a look at a tool called Cloudflare, which could really be an easy fix for a lot of the websites that allows you to decentralize the content of your website. Now, what I mean by that is it's a global service that's got servers all over the world. What they do is they actually cache your website into their servers and allow you to serve the website from the nearest location. And because of this setup, they actually allow you to, they allow you to deliver your website faster by taking off all the weight and heavy components from your website. It is a very effective service. I think there's a free starting point there. I think they do like a free trial or something, but overall it's about $20 a month, and it really takes your website to another level. And at the same time also adds a degree of security to your website as well. Really quite a cool one. And the concept of Cloudflare is called content delivery network. So it's really all about delivering your content in a much more efficient way. So this is another website of the attendees of our webinar today. It's a great looking website, don't get me wrong. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it. It's a clean looking site. However, despite the fast server that it's sitting on, the performance of the website is only 37%. Now, it shows you the timeline in terms of visualization, and it basically says that in order to load this entire website, it takes 6.6 seconds. So that is really too slow, guys. And there are ways to make this a lot faster. All you got to do is really run a report through gtmetrics.com, and then you get a link that you can actually send to your web developer, and they can have a look at all these things. So performance, you click on the performance tab, and it tells you exactly why the website is ranked like that. You can also look at the waterfall, which shows you each and individual component that are being loaded. But overall, I think this is a great tool for you to communicate with your web developers and say, hey guys, there are some gaps. Could you please, improve the speed and so on. So have a look at it. You may be having the most beautiful website that appears to be fast, but there are, some other factors that could be playing a role as well. I guess in terms of tips to improve your conversion rate optimization, like I said before, make sure all the key information that you're wanting your customers to see is above the fold. The phone, location, open hours, book now, all that sort of stuff. There's no point having that information at the bottom of the page, because people half the time won't find it. Instead, they'll be calling you to check for that information anyway. Make sure you've got a bit of a content plan, especially if you're doing things like SEO, and I'm sure Carl will touch on this as well. But, if you got information like blogs, for example, about the importance of certain things, and if you do specialized things like, let's say, orthodontics and stuff, there's a lot of educational information that is required for people to make a decision. So you may as well turn that into a content plan. A good way to do that could be using a Q&A format, so questions and answers. And this is the things that people are likely to be asking you. And rather than answering the questions all the time, you could, you could be creating that Q&A section on your website. Change the sliders or videos into your website into useful content. Like I said before, understand the theme of your website and what it is that you're trying to achieve. If it's new patients, make it all about new patients. If it's about supporting your current patients or answering some sort of questions, make sure that that key section on your website addresses that. Because if you have a slider or a video, you are giving away probably about 3/4 of the actual above the fold section, to the content that doesn't particularly serve a purpose. I definitely recommend you should invest into a fast host, because a lot of the time people spend tens of thousands of dollars on the website only to host their website onto something like Bluehost or something cheap like that. And as a result, the cost of that is not ranking very, very high in Google, because Google wants you to have a high website. You paying more for your Google ads. If your website is slow, your cost per click often is increased because of that factor. And look, if you can, try to jump on one of those managed hosting solutions, because what that really means is that you can have your website managed for you, where all the plugins are updated, all the security is being taken care of. And from there, you can really, forget about your website as something you need to maintain and have it taken care of. The company that we use is a company called WebM, and that company really, delivers great service for all of our clients. They use WP Engine and Kinsta services, but they're really optimizing for the best delivery. I guess the next thing you really got to look at is having a new patient offer, because I'd say 99% of the dental practices that we speak to, they want new patients. It's all about getting those new patients, whether to keep themselves busy or build up the practice to sell or franchise or whatever the actual goal may be. New patients is really what it's all about. So without the new patient offer, things become a little bit difficult. And having an opt-in on the website really allows you to diversify into things like email marketing later down the track. So name and email capture is referred to as opt-in. And really, it's about having an attractive offer that people will exchange their name and email in exchange for something else. So we find that having some sort of a checkup and clean arm offer in there, so you could really be combining the opt-in and the new patient offer together, that works quite well. All right. So optimizing Google for success. Optimizing Google business. And this is the part that's that Carl has put together for you guys. And Carl is a true expert when it comes to Google business. I think he quite naturally transitioned into this business and really learned a lot about it. Carl, mate, over to you. Mate, you're on mute.
Thanks, mate. Look, it feels like all of our dentists are quite shy. It's like that old dentist ad, here's Rob, but we can't show you his face. Everyone's hiding their cameras. But either way, so as Lexi said, my name's Carl. For those of you who don't know what your Google business profile looks like, that's what it is. Like if you go into Google and type in your business name, what you'll see is on the right-hand panel, that's called your Google business profile. Now, that profile alone is worth about 36% of your SEO, and your Google reviews is about 16% of your SEO. So together, it's almost over half of your SEO that you want, which is basically another way of saying just eyeballs looking at your business, where they can make inquiries and appointments directly through. There's an interesting statistic, and I think it's about 61% of people will get your contact details, i.e. your phone number or directions from your Google profile, compared to 49% that click through to the Contact Us page. And I guess we know that's true because it's like these days we're so time poor. I want to look and see what do I need? I see the dentist and I want to book the call with them. But so often I see so many beautiful websites for dentists or other businesses, but their Google profile doesn't match how professional their website looks like. And a lot of business owners have just purely claimed their profile and not gone through all of the functionality that sits inside that profile. It's just one of those funny ironies. Google created this amazing asset in the Google business profile, but they expect you to Google how to use it. So if you can work that one out, because it was my product and I owned it, I would do it very differently. Next slide, please, Alexi. So there's so much stuff in there. And probably I would say about most business owners are probably touching about 5 to 10% of the capability. And what we try to do is walk our clients through the keyword discovery. And what I always say is you need to write it like people type it. So I want you to get inside the minds of your clients and go, well, what are they typing into Google? Because the better that we can match what the client is typing into Google to what our Google profile is, and that's the same for the website, the better it's going to direct more traffic to us. There's things like a posting guide, like Google lets you post on its platform, which is kind of like a cross between LinkedIn and Facebook. But again, almost nobody's doing it. Or if they're doing it, it's like once a month or so. The gold standard is really to post at least once a week on your Google profile. Just think of it like free advertising. And everything that you write in that posting guide, in that posting, is actually keyword sensitive. So all of that counts towards your SEO. There's some really easy insights and stats that you can get at the back end of the Google profile. It's nowhere near as complicated as the Google Analytics. But it's still helpful to see like how many calls are you getting through your profile and how many people are asking for directions, which is great for, I guess, locality-based businesses like dentists, and how many people are clicking through to your website. So this is all just simple metrics that allow you, over the months to improve your ranking in Google to get to page 1. The next part is having a keyword targeted bio. So many people start their bio like it's a corporate brochure. Like if I wrote the brochure for Xenox Diamonds and I said, we're a 47-year-old second generation family business, I've got a tip for you. Nobody is typing that into Google. Nobody's looking for 12-year-old businesses or this, or, the leading, innovator and whatever that is. You have to come at it from the point of view of what are the client's pain points? What are they trying to overcome and how can you help them achieve that? So there's a whole framework on how to make sure that your bio is specifically targeted for keywords. The next is having geotagged photos. You guys work in such an amazing thing. Like, I mean, having a beautiful smile, if somebody gets some crowns put on, they should be really proud of that. And being able to have that shared with clients on Google sends a massive amount of data to Google. So when we take a photo and upload it to Google, embedded in the photo is some geotagging, which basically means like a longitude and a latitude, so that it says to Google, well, this is a really important business in, let's say, Ascot. And so people around there, we want to send more clients to them. The next part is all around products and services. Now, even if you're a service-based business, you can still productize what you do. So, but it's important to make sure that this is done properly. For a lot of businesses, it's kind of like, I don't know about you, Alexi, but if you've ever had to assemble a piece of IKEA furniture and you get 3/4 of the way through and realize that one of the panels is around the wrong way, you got to undo it all and put it back together. Unfortunately, this part of Google is a little bit like that. You have to really set it up properly to begin with, because if you need to change it later, you almost have to delete it and then start again. So having the right strategy and structure is really important to make sure that that is completely optimized for keywords. And then, of course, the Google reviews, the thing that really predominantly sets your Google profile apart from competitors when they're looking at you compared to maybe going to somebody else, is the Google reviews. But I often teach that all Google reviews are not created equally. A lot of people think that a Google review is a Google review. And what I've come to find out is that there are 5 different levels. The bottom level is kind of like a 5-star. So someone who leaves a review but doesn't write anything. The next level up is like a one-liner that says, I'm going to use Gavin that's in the room. I went and saw Gavin. He was amazing. Now, while that's true, and Gavin probably is amazing, from an SEO point of view, it's got very little benefit. Then the next level up from that is a detailed description talking about, how amazing Kelly was and how it was looked after by the front desk. Now, all of that could be really true and fantastic, and that's definitely better than a one-liner. But the thing that I often find missing is having keywords in your Google reviews. And the way that you know that is that when you go to your Google profile and click on your reviews, at the top of there, it says that people often mention. And that's Google's way of showing you what your Google reviews are optimized for. A lot of times it's words like felt or team. Now, while that's lovely, again, from an SEO benefit, that's really not going to drive more traffic through to your website. Okay. Then the top level is when you've got keywords, detailed description, maybe even mentioning team members and photos. So that's the ultimate review that you can get, is having photos, keywords, and it's all about how do we get the team to do it? Because we might understand that as business owners, but this is a whole team thing to really get everybody. One of my clients is Dentaglow, and one of the things that we worked with them was, well, what does the transition experience look like when the dentists go and hand the patient back over to the front desk? What does that look like? What does the front desk say? Like, thank you, Dr. Aman, really appreciate that. And that conversational piece is really important to improving the conversion ratio of what the Google review looks like. Next slide, please, Alexi. So this was a little search that I typed into Google a little while ago. And I said, Dentist Brisbane was the key frame that I put in there. Now at the top was all of the ads. And I skipped past that. I don't know about you, Alexi, but I generally tend to skip past ads because I find that they're just paying for the real estate. They don't really know what I'm wanting or that they're the best person for me. But you'll see this top part there where you've got the 3 dentists. And then below that part there's called the local search. And then below that is all the organic listings, which is also really important. Now, I'm a very big believer in organic as well as local. The two things work really well together, and you should definitely be doing both. It's not just about your on-page optimization and backlinks. It's all about your local SEO as being really important. But when you look at those top 3 listings there, what do you notice? The top one has 103 reviews at 4.9. The next one down has 198 at 4.9. And the bottom one there has 38 at 5 stars. So, I don't know whether you guys can chat in the chat box, but which one of those 3 would you use? Would it be just like 1, 2, or 3? The top one being the top, 2 being the middle, or number 3 being the bottom one? So some people would say maybe number 2 because it's got the most amount of reviews. Maybe some people would say number 1 because it's in the first position. 1, thanks, Ava. Number 1 because it's in the first position. The interesting thing is, when you look at it, is simply having the most amount of reviews doesn't guarantee you the number 1 position. Okay, so it's not just about who has the most amount of reviews. There are 2 aspects of what I usually talk about. One is attraction, and then the other one is conversion. And when we overlap those 2 things, what we get is a pre-converted client. So attraction is all about the SEO content in your reviews. So Brisbane Dental might only have 100 reviews, but maybe their reviews are of better quality. Maybe they have more keywords. Maybe their Google business profile is a lot more optimized for what they're doing. So from teeth whitening to crowns, bridge, all of that sort of stuff. So you need to get both of them right. The conversion piece is the social proof element. So for those that said 2, maybe the social proof element of having 198 compared to 103 was an important contributing. Now, both of them have about 4.9, which is fine. You don't want to go below 4. 4 is the danger zone. Under 4, most people won't consider using your business. But there's an interesting other stat that I read recently, which was 61%, I think it was, of clients actively seek out a 1-star review. And I have to confess, I've got a confession. I'm one of those people. I love looking at the 1-star reviews, and I do that for a couple of reasons. Number 1 is I want to see, and this is what the research supports, is that people who look for 1-star reviews want to see what the worst case scenario looks like if they come to your business and it doesn't go right. Okay, that's what they're looking for. And the second part is they want to see how you as the business owner respond to a Google review. People on average will probably read about 5 to 7 Google reviews, and some of those may be the 1-star reviews. So how you respond to 1-star reviews is incredibly important. So that's another thing that I want to leave you with. Next slide, please, Alexi. So imagine if you had a digital marketing assistant working for your business. They work 24/7. They never took holidays. They never got sick. You didn't even have to pay them any wages or taxes, no super, and they got better every single year. Just type yes in the chat if you would like a digital marketing assistant that would be like that working in your business. I know I would. But that is what I found our Google profile does for us. In the beginning, when I started this strategy for Xenox, it was about 25% of our income came from our Google review portfolio. Nowadays, it's up at about 42%. So yeah, go through the bad reviews before we go through their service. Yeah, thanks, Ava. So yeah, so it is growing and it's getting better and better every year and building momentum. And some of that is also the fact that we're getting further and further away from our competitors. So even though we have over 1,000 5-star Google reviews for Xenox, we're not stopping there. We want to get to 1,500 or 2,000 reviews, because when you think about it, if you're showing up new in the market, a new player or something, or maybe you've just even been kind of asleep at the wheel kind of thing, and you've not realized the power of reputation marketing, it's almost impossible to compete. Like, if I'm at 100 reviews and you're at 200, I could probably catch you after a period of time if I know what I'm doing. But if you're at 2,000 and I'm at 100, it's almost like I wouldn't even try. And so that's part of what we want you to do, is to think about leveraging your brand reputation. And I sometimes say that it's all about getting your customers to tell your brand story for you. And that's the power of this social proof, because people believe and trust reviews as much as a personal recommendation from a family friend. Okay, next slide for me, please, Alexi. So I always say that, there are people out there in every profession, whether you're a dentist, a doctor, a chauffeur, a lawyer, that are earning much more than what you are as an hourly rate or for your services. And they're not any better at what they do than what you do. They just have a reputation in the marketplace that dictates that that's what they can charge. So one of the things that I do with my clients is, when we get them to a certain point where almost like the demand is so much more and they're getting people coming in because of their reviews, and we show them how to track that. There's a way that we know every year at Xenox how much revenue we generate from our Google reviews. It's because we track it in our point of sale. So being able to do that is a really important part of this journey when you start venturing into reputation marketing. And once you see it, it's like a drug almost. Lexi, you talked about the podiatrist. He was a funny character. He was very skeptical in the beginning. And then, he's telling me now that he's getting 1 to 2 clients extra every week that are coming to him because of his Google reviews, which, for him equates to $3,000 to $4,000, which is a substantial amount of money coming in purely from his Google reviews. Okay, next slide, please. So people often say to me, when I start down this world of Google business, I either want to fix my profile because I've got no reviews and my profile looks not great, or I want to protect myself, like I'm worried about the 1-star reviews, or they often say, look, I really want to be known as the #1 dentist in my area. So just think about that: fixed being #1, protect #2, dominate #3. Just type in the chat for me, which one is it for you? Like, do you want to dominate your area #3? You're worried about reviews #2, or you just don't know where to start? You're probably in #1. So just chop in the chat, dominate. Of course, Alexi, I wouldn't think anything less. Ava, that's totally fine. You've got to start somewhere. And like I said, most profiles, I would say about 90% of profiles that I look at have just barely claimed it. They've not done anything with the optimization or really growing their reputation on Google. Next one, please, Alexi. So like I said, with my podiatrist client, he's generating 1 to 3 warm leads every single week. Next slide, please. And ultimately for him, it's like about making your leads come to you. Next one. And for me, the best thing is not spending $1 on ads. Look, I definitely think there is a place for ads, but I think that focusing on your Google profile first, before you go spend money on ads, is the low-hanging fruit. I think personally, Mark Zuckerberg has enough of money, and he probably doesn't need any of mine. But what I would say to you is that if you do want to go and spend money on Google ads, Google will definitely give you a better deal for your Google ads conversion if you have an optimized profile with regular reviews. And when you think about it, why wouldn't they? Google is like a game. They've got a scoreboard with rules, and they have a scoreboard that tells you who's winning. And if they're going to decide, dental practice 1 is going to spend $100 on ads, or dental practice 2 is going to spend $100 on ad, but dental practice 2 has optimized their profile for their keywords. They're getting regular reviews coming through of a good quality content. They're obviously going to prioritize and give more effective conversions in dental practice 2. So I think you can definitely spend money on ads once your profile is optimized and you are getting those regular reviews. You'll start to see the benefits in the long run. Okay, next one, please. So I want to talk a little bit now about APRA. APRA has sometimes a lot of people scared, particularly doctors, about this whole concept of asking for reviews. I actually engaged a lawyer to really investigate this, because I figured that there had to be a way. There had to be a way where you could comfortably and reliably ask for reviews without worrying about the repercussions. Next slide, please. And what the lawyers found was that you don't control the platform. You don't control Google, so you can't remove a review even if you wanted to. So because you don't control the platform, that is one of the contributing factors. And they found that a client can leave a review independent of you asking for it. So therefore, legally, it makes no difference whether you ask or don't. Okay, so that's the first one. So the message I want to give you here is that 100% you can absolutely ask for reviews. However, how you ask for reviews is important. If I went to an oncologist and said, hey, I saw Dr. Alexi, and after 5 sessions, he cured me. Praise the Lord, he is amazing. That's a no-no. Okay, what we're asking for here at this point is more of an experience review rather than a clinical review. So I want to hear things like, the dentist was patient, comforting. They made sure that I wasn't, worried about the pain, and they really helped me, and I was just really happy. That, from an experience point of view, is totally fine and stays well within your guidelines of AHPRA. So again, remembering that we're asking for an experience review, not so much a clinical, review. But the third part that the lawyers found, which I thought was really quite interesting, was how you respond to reviews is also quite interesting. And if you're not careful, you can inadvertently change an experience review into a clinical review if you're not careful. So for example, again, let's say, Ava, you've been really responsive, so I'm going to use you. Ava says, the experience at my dental clinic was amazing. I really loved it there. They were so warm and friendly and kind. And then I say, Ava, I'm so glad that we were able to, improve your dental hygiene health in 1 session or whatever. So you can see there, if you respond in the wrong way, you can turn an experience review into a clinical testimonial, which is, if you want to be on the safe side, the best thing you can do is to thank the client for their review and mention that you're looking forward to seeing them again in the clinic soon. Something very simple like that is probably all you'd want to do to make sure that you stay on the right side of AHPRA. Before I go any further, I might even just open this up to the group. If you've got any questions about that, pop them in the chat. So Ava, Kelly, Gavin, anyone there that's there, if you've got any questions about the AHPRA, now would be a great time. We've still got plenty of time for Q&A at the end as well, but if you have them, start typing them in the chat and I'd happily answer them for you. Next one, please, Alexi. So if you are looking to get some a little bit of feedback on your Google profile, what I'm doing for Alexi's Zoom call today is to do a free Google business profile audit with you on your profile. And I will also show you the 3 top mistakes that dental practices make when they set up their profile and what you can do to start generating more leads through your Google business profile. So all you need to do is take out your phone. It'll take about somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes. It doesn't take long, and it's very easy to understand where the gaps are that you could easily change. And that's one of the things I love about the Google business profile stuff, is that it's very easy to make a change, and it's very easy to see how quickly the results of those change in Google profile come through. So within weeks to a month, you can already start to see the needle moving on those side of things. And I think that's it from me, Alexi. So I guess I wanted to leave some time open for Q&A for everybody in the room if there was some question.
But I think the whole AHPRA thing is definitely probably one of the big obstacles for a lot of the medical professionals that I come across. And I think, a lot of people would rather sort of sit and wait, see what happens with the other people, as opposed to be sort of proactive in this regard. So I think you're spot on. It's more really about understanding the fine lines, and yeah, potentially maybe even engaging a lawyer, because all the APRA rules are black and white. And I guess the other thing is they haven't really changed very much over time, while everything else has. So the whole Google side of things, is not the same as it was, 5-10 years ago. I find overall that having Google reviews, if you don't do anything about it, you become the victim of that, because people who are not happy about your service, they'll be more vocal as opposed to people who are happy. So if you're not really incentivizing that process in any way, you're going to be left with a lot of negative reviews, unfortunately. So let's talk about negative reviews, Carl. This is a classic one that I get. So you've sort of mentioned how to respond to negative reviews. So specifically for dentists, could you give us some tips specifically? Because I find a lot of time people go with the classic one, we don't have a record of you, sort of go away type of thing.
Don't get me started, Lexi. That's my pet number 8. Is we can find no record of you in our system. If you guys were all on camera, I'd ask you to raise your hand if you have more than one email address, and if one of those email addresses is more of a spammy one, like you're about to sign up to something and you don't want to use your real one, so you use your fake one. I can guarantee you that 99% of people that write a 1-star review will use the fake email address. They want to go incognito. They don't want it. They want to kind of punish you. And this is the hard thing for the allied health space, is that they almost feel like they're golden handcuffed. It's like, I can't ask for good ones, but anybody who wants to leave a 1-star review can absolutely slam me. And what I can say to you is that clients, patients today definitely know how to weaponize Google reviews. They 100% do. You have a bad meal at a restaurant, or something didn't go that way or whatever, and you go, well, I'll show you and I'll get onto Google. So people definitely know how to do that. Now, oftentimes they will give you the first right of reply. Like they'll often come to you and say, hey, was unhappy with this, and how you respond to that can sometimes dictate to what they do next. But once they've left a 1-star review, the 3 elements that you want to include there are empathy, acknowledgement, and remedy. Empathy is just coming at it from a place of, understanding. Acknowledgement is agreeing that basically what they're saying is true for them. I could understand how frustrating it would be, Alexi, to wait 20 minutes for your appointment, and the fact that you were worried about your parking going over time. That's empathy and acknowledgement. I'm just agreeing that what they're saying is true for them, which it would be. Then the third part is remedy. Like, what are you going to do to make it right? The research shows that a single 1-star review can cause 2 out of 10 people to decide not to use your business. Okay, so if you imagine now that 1,000 people in a year look at your Google profile and your Google reviews, and 200 of them decide that they don't want to use your business, how much would that cost your business? A lot. So when you think about it, you got a client who's not happy or whatever, whether you agree with them or not, responding to them from a position of remedy to make it right does 1 or 2 things. Number 1, they may change their 1-star review to a 5-star because of the way that you've handled it. Actually, interesting, I was listening to a book this morning. This is really quite timely, and you probably know him, Alexi. He is Robert Cialdini, and his book is called Influence. And the concept of what he says there is that sometimes what we do as a business owner when things don't go right is actually so much more important than when everything's going right. Like if something goes wrong and you're at a restaurant and they come out and they bring you meals and then they put in dessert, you go, wow, like they dropped the ball, yes, but look at what they did to make it right. So this is all part of that customer service piece, and about what are you willing to do to make it right. And not only is it that you're doing it for that client, but everybody else who reads that will look at you in a very favorable light. And they say, you know what, look at this business. They really care about their patients and are willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that they're happy. Now, sometimes people say to me, well, what if people take advantage of that? The reality is that most people will never do that. There might be 1% of people that want to take advantage of it, but 99% of people won't. but they will look at the way that you've responded to that review and say, wow, that's a business that I want to go to. Now, on the flip side of that, if you don't handle a 1-star review correctly and you go keyboard warrior and say, you know, we've never seen you, we don't understand you, you're a competitor, you're a blah, 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 whatever that is. Most people think that the 1-star review is the worst thing you can get. And the reality is it isn't. The client can actually go in and edit that review and make it even worse. You know, really go through and say, well, I tried this and they did that. The second thing is that they could enlist 10 of their friends on social media to go and give you a 1-star review, which is very hard to come back from. So your reputation is so, like I often say, it's like, it's worth its weight in gold. You know, you really need to make sure that you protect your reputation. In the old days, if you piss somebody off, you know, they'd be angry for a week and then forget about it. Nowadays, they go online onto Google, leave a bad review, and that review is there forever. So, you know, it's really important. I don't think business owners in general, whether you're in the allied health space or not, can afford to really take their reputation for granted.
I find overall the whole idea of negative reviews is actually not a bad thing, because if you got like 50 positive reviews, having a negative review does give you a sense of reality as well, because a lot of the time people don't think it's real. They think, hey, this guy's just basically got all their friends to leave the reviews and that's it. Yeah. But, you know, having a negative review and having a proper response to the review actually, you know, that does good, because like you said before, I think especially when it comes to like restaurants and stuff, we go and search for those negative reviews to see what people have said. And oftentimes you can see, you know, if it's just a negative review, like 1 star and nothing else, you can sort of like, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter. But if someone does write something legit, you'd read it and you sort of try to understand it as well. And I guess when it comes to mentioning specific names of people, that's where really the whole thing becomes quite critical. But at the same time, you got to review the Google business guidelines, because there are things that you can actually report a review for as well. You know, do you want to just tell us some of those things?
So you can report things that obviously have you know, hate speech or racist or sexist, any of that sort of stuff. You can of course report. If they say, and I've seen people do this, where they say, I'm not a client of the company, but da, 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 da. That is 100% you can dispute that, and Google will take that down. The whole concept of Google reviews is it's supposed to be for genuine clients reporting on their experience. So if you see anything in the review where they go, well, I was not of this, but my friend told me this, or whatever, that's 100% you can dispute that. If you find that there is a legitimate one-star review there and you think it might be a competitor, the other thing that I found sometimes could work is immediately as soon as you see it, get as many people in your network to flag it as soon as possible. And sometimes that can trigger and create more validity than if just one person does it. So I would say just get a whole heap of people, 10, 15, whatever you can, just to dispute it as soon as you can.
Yep. And we've done that quite a lot with, I think, some of our clients as well, because, you know, a typical one is past customer would go through and leave a review, or some sort of, you know, disgruntled employee would basically go off and write some things in the moment. And yeah, there are ways to sort of flag these things as well. Got a question from Ava.
Yeah, so I'll answer that one. So Ava, thank you so much for the question. So there's a piece in that on how you go about it. So this is the way that this is the setup. So the first part would be ringing the client and saying, hey, Mary, we're sorry to read about your bad, the bad experience that you had, or the less than favorable experience. You know, we're always striving for a 5-star experience, and we'd love to make it up to you. So I'm on the phone with them now. We'd love to book you in, blah, blah, blah. What I would say to you though, sometimes people just, and you wrote it there, a satisfactory remedy. What I would say to you is that when you have a client that's unhappy, you have to go above and beyond satisfactory, because satisfactory only gets you to the point where they got what they paid for. So what I would say to you is that if I have a client that for whatever reason it's become a 1-star, I will go 2 times, 3 times more. So you might, let's say they come in and you're doing a plaque clean, maybe you throw in a teeth whitening on top of that, you know, to sort of say, look, really sorry, again, you know, we really would love to do this. So that's the first thing I would say, is that you need to go above and beyond satisfactory to really do it. And then you may, at the very end of that, I would ask the triggering question, how is everything with us today? At that point, you want the client, if you've really kicked it out of the park, which is what you need to do when they've got a 1-star, they'll say, yes, everything was fantastic. I would then say, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We really appreciate your feedback, and we'd love for you to share your new experience on Google. Then when they go through, they're able to then update and edit that and change it. So that's the way I would handle that.
Great. I think that's a great strategy. One of the questions we get asked sometimes is, testimonial side of things. You can't have them on the website if you're a dentist or a medical professional because of the APRA side of things. But I do find that testimonials contribute quite a lot to conversions as well. So if you're doing your conversion rate optimization, having testimonials is definitely one of those things that you may want to have. However, obviously, because of APRA, what I found is a bit of a loophole is using a plugin that actually connects to your Google reviews on the website works quite well, because you can have your Google My Business profile, and having a floating 5-star review or whatever, however many stars you've got linking to that, actually works quite well. We've got that on a few of our websites, so you can have a look at that as well.
There's a few different widgets that you can use to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you guys have any other questions before we continue? Great. Well, I think everyone is rather busy. I think some people may be listening to this or just sort of plugging in, because we are getting a recording of this webinar. We'll be sending out to the participants afterwards as well. We'll probably get some questions later in the email. I guess, guys, from my end, if you need any help with your website, starting with things like website critique, or if you're running some Google Ads campaigns or whatnot, feel free to book a discovery session with us. And I guess, from there, we can potentially help you with the website and your online presence and guide you in the right direction. If you do want a bit of strategy help or whatnot, let us know or get in touch with Carl as well. For us, we do work with quite a few dentists, and this is one of the case studies from Crestmead Dental that we mentioned earlier. These guys were doing their Google Ads in-house, and we found that applying our smart approach really allowed us to, increase the overall conversions 3 times. And overall, most of the time when you use things like Google Ads, they go in a lot of automation, and as a result, you don't really know what's going on. It's either working or not working. But if you can't measure it, you can't really manage it, as Peter Drucker says. But in our case with Crestmead Dental, we've been able to reduce the cost by 50% while actually increasing the number of inquiries that we're getting. So this is a great case study that we've done. And Henry Wong, who is the principal dentist of their business, said the ad created and posted by this company works very well. We're very happy with the result. They're creative, responsive, and easy to work with. Thanks so much. Well, thanks, Henry. We love hearing feedback like that. And I think we got that in our Google business as well. In terms of upcoming webinars, guys, this year we've done a few. And overall, we've gone over things like the team culture. We've gone over the web development side of things, the Google campaigns. And overall, we do want to sort of tap into other topics as well. We've got a presentation with an accountant lined up probably for some time in August. I do want to go over the effective Google Ads campaigns for dental businesses if you guys are interested. Email marketing is one of the topics that hardly anyone taps into. And we are currently in the process of speaking to a few software companies that do specialize in software for practice to really help them work. Overall, guys, if you're interested in some of these topics more than others, please let us know. But as always, we'll try to post this stuff on our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to find the recordings of this webinars there. Overall, if you have any questions or want to find out more about what we do, here are our contact details and my email directly. And look, guys, we hope that you enjoyed this webinar today. Carl, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy week to contribute to it. Your experience is huge, mate. And I really like how you make it real practical. You're not just a person who've gone over and read some things and talk theory, but you're really talking about true experience that has worked for other businesses, mate. Thanks very much.
My pleasure, Alexi. Glad to share. All
right. Well, thanks, guys, for attending, and I hope to see you at the next webinar. I'll send you the information of the upcoming events, and please stay safe. And I wish all the best to your businesses. Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.